Hello and welcome to X Never Gaming, and welcome to our first ever video. And guess what? It's all about me and my top games, the ones that led me to be the gamer that I am today. So sit back, relax and enjoy.
Oh yes, the ever beautiful tale of the cursed king. The timeless art style of the deep and richly colourful world pulling you in. As expected of a classic JRPG, Dragon Quest VIII is an epic tale, requiring you to explore an expansive open world and battle more weird and wonderful creatures than you can shake a stick at, all while reading a full novel's worth of fantastically written dialogue. That is not to say that the people of Trodain are mute. In fact, this game is packed with quality voice acting, which on more than one occasion had me chuckling aloud. I originally played this title back when it was released on the PS2, but I have since purchased it again for its recent release on the 3DS, and have been spending every moment of my breaks at work and any commute wrapping myself in the warm blanket that is the kingdom of Trodain, enabling me to block out all that is the monotonous real world while in a summery, cel-shaded haze. I found peace in your embrace, Dragon Quest. Never let me go. Of course it's a Final Fantasy game. What self-respecting, shut-in gamer doesn't have at least one of these on their top list? For most, the title of Best Final Fantasy is held by Final Fantasy VII. I, however, much prefer the 8th instalment, what with its improved graphics, easy-to-grasp junctioning system, and in my opinion, a better story. Now, before the comments fill to bursting with people telling me how wrong I am, in probably not such nice terms, let me first explain. The Final Fantasy series, as with any art form, is subject to personal preference. Not only do we all have our own tastes, but we will also always have that soft spot for our first experience, which for me was this, Final Fantasy VIII. I can still remember that Christmas, unwrapping my new PS1 and finding it had been expertly bundled with my new favourite game. An amazing move by my long-suffering parents, who have always displayed a great understanding for my love of video games and just how important they were for me. Anyway, enthralled by the story of the moody protagonist Squall, I played for weeks exploring what I thought was every inch of this rich world, both fantastical and yet somehow familiar. I was obsessed, and when the story did come to an end, I began hearing of all the secrets I'd missed, and I was at a loss. What a monumental crime I had committed, not to fully experience the genius I had been fortunate enough to witness. And so, with a renewed vigour, I delved in right back at the beginning, intent on finding all those hidden goodies that my friend with the walkthrough had filled me in on during our school lunch breaks. From time to time, I do still go back and I lose myself in that amazing tale, refreshing my memory. But yeah, unfortunately, given my love of all that's new, as well as my responsibility to play these new games, my stay is never quite long enough. Ah yes, here we go. Capcom vs SNK 2. While not being my first fighting game, it was the first one that dragged me in deep enough to truly complete and master every aspect. Blisteringly fast-paced combat, a wide array of fighters to pick from, multiple end bosses to face, and even the ability to customise your chosen fighter's colour scheme. While not being the most well-known fighting game, it was most certainly one of the best. I spent many long evenings putting off doing my homework in the interest of learning another character's full repertoire of devastating special moves and not giving in until I'd smushed Shin Akuma's face into the ground without losing my perfect round streak. Not only was this a game that led to many detentions because of the aforementioned missing homework, it was also the game that earned me my first gaming related injury. A blister that covered almost half of my thumb, and an injury I wore with pride after the first time I beat the aforementioned Shin Akuma. An M-boss that I have yet to see matched for sheer speed and brutality. This mind-bendingly difficult definition of OP could throw multiple Hadoukens in a single jump, do a sort of teleporty thing every time you threw a punch at him, and when he inevitably landed a hit in spite of your best efforts to dodge or block, you would almost certainly lose half of your hit points. Git.
Maria?
You said you took everything, but you forgot that videotape we made. I wonder if it's still there.
How do you know about that? Aren't you Maria?
Now before I get into this one, I would like to say just one thing. I do like and respect the Resident Evil series. I wholeheartedly enjoyed all the puzzles and cheap jump scares it would routinely throw at you. However, when it comes to true horror, you just can't beat the masterpiece that is Silent Hill 2. A game that has been widely hailed as one of the most pant-wettingly, eerily spooky and downright unsettling games ever released. This perfect balance of puzzle solving and survival horror left me wanting more, while simultaneously preventing me from turning my bedroom lights off. Ever. While this is a game that is getting on in years, it still holds up in today's ever-increasingly overcrowded pool of games, designed to make you, the player, scream like an Amnesia-era PewDiePie. That mysterious fog hiding the horrors of the abandoned ghost town, and the masterful use of sounds, or absence thereof, giving an almost perpetual shiver down your spine. This title packed my brain with nightmare fuel with which to torment my dreams for months. And my god, I loved every second of it.
I'm gathering specialists for a mission. It's not going to be easy. The chances of surviving are slim.
Mass Effect 2. Now here's one that will not be shocking anybody. Don't get me wrong, I loved the first game. In fact, I actually spent a ridiculous amount of time playing and replaying Mass Effect 1. I made the choice to put the second game on the list instead due to the fact that it was just so much more polished and packed with features and possibilities. The story grabbed me fairly early on and refused to let go until I had tried all choices and all possibilities. And no, I don't just mean getting into everyone's pants. I needed to find out what secrets the galaxy held and how best to get to them. I wanted to be both a renegade and a paragon. So that's 2 playthroughs right there. And then there was the DLC characters that were later added. Okay, now I need to play it again to find out their stories. Mass Effect was a time sink, and a huge one at that. For me, not only did it satisfy my RPG craving, but also the sci-fi nerd in me was getting the full treatment, with alien races, intergalactic travel and futuristic weaponry that would give any Trekkie or Star Wars fan a massive nerd on. Right. I realised looking at this mess of almost identically coloured chunky polygons, it is difficult to see at first what this is and why it is deserving of a place on this list, but stay with me. This was the first instalment of the now legendary stealth series Tenchu, Granted, in its later years, the franchise did fall from grace, but the first 3 games were absolutely amazing, and anyone who says differently obviously either never played them or was too young to be any good at them back in the late 90s and early 2000s, when these games were around and reigned supreme. Go back and play them. Trust me, you will find games that test your abilities to the extreme and give you a whole new view of what a stealth game should be. In the first game, you were only given the choice of 2 characters, Rikimaru and Ayame. Didn't even need to look those names up, still remembered it, oh yeah. However, in the later games, 3rd characters were added, namely Tatsumaru in Tenchu 2 and, let me get this right, Teshu Fujioka in Tenchu 3. Really, there is too much story here to explain, so just take my advice and get your hands on these games, and you will understand why I will never call Agent 47 gaming's greatest assassin. Rikimaru for life, yo! There are some who have declared the 3rd installment of the Diablo series as a failure, saying that after such a long wait, it was nothing more than a letdown, to which I say, shut up. Yes, we waited over a decade for a follow-up to Diablo 2. Yes, you had your hopes built up for years with teasers and leaks, but it's no one else's fault that you built this up to be something else in your own minds. Diablo 3 returned us to a classic form of dungeon crawling, loot gobbling and demon smashing, the likes of which no other game has been able to reproduce since the game's predecessor. Allowing us to return to the ruins of Tristram and once again stick it to the Lords of Hell with the full force of our chosen hero and their plethora of extremely satisfying baddie squishing skills. I just can't help myself. The feeling of unmatched power given by adventuring through this magical world with my max level monk and making the Lord of Terror my bitch on Torment 10 difficulty. Not only did Diablo 3 give us the story experience we missed so much, they also took it further. Yes, it was a bit of a pain needing to be always online, however, the online experience and adventure mode gave the game a new dimension, and was given longevity by the later addition of seasonal heroes with which you could earn special armor sets and other special items, making you even more badass. I relish the opportunity to return and will be quite happy playing this for years to come.
So that was my top games. If you have anything you wanted to say, if you wanted to disagree with me, that's perfectly fine. You can leave it in the comments below. I might ignore it, but you know, hey, I'm just stating a personal preference here. Anyway, if you like the video, be sure to leave a like, and you know, if you want to get on the bandwagon early and see when we're releasing our new stuff, subscribe. Cheers.